Matthew Phillips. Welcome to our mini teaching retreat. I'm happy to have a couple of seconds to talk to you about my experience teaching online and a couple of things I've learned. I'm actually not a big fan of the distinction that we tend to make between asynchronous and synchronous. I think that stands as a proxy for some other really important ideas, but it's not necessarily that well correlated. The most important thing that I think we might be talking about when we say those words is a sense of instructor or teaching presence. The idea that I am connected with my students and that I'm available in the same ways that I might be available on campus to talk about what's going on in their lives, to see what they're doing outside of class and interact with them on their own turf rather than mine, to take part in common experiences around campus. All of those things are really critical, but they don't necessarily mean you have to be in a live session. So I want to talk a little bit about how I've tried to create a sense of presence, although I have not relied very heavily on live sessions. The first one is by thinking very critically about exactly how students are going to receive material. One way of seeing this, I think, though our OB colleagues might tell me I've got the idea wrong, is that I've tried to be as empathetic as possible by considering what is this stuff going to look like to students? What is the material going to feel like as they receive it? And it seems to me that one of the most important things is to present material sequentially rather than all at once in ways that might make sense to me. They don't know the frameworks of my discipline yet. They don't know how week 7 connects to week 2 yet. And so when I present the material, I don't just dump a chapter or a selection of readings. I try to give everything to them in very clear order. Sakai has a feature called Lessons that I have used exclusively instead of Resources. My students actually don't even see the Resources tab in Sakai anymore. Canvas uses Modules. So when you first get onto Canvas, you might have the idea that you should use the Files tab, which is a lot like Sakai's Resources. But Modules is the better way to present content to students in a very stepwise kind of manner. That way, although I'm not present with them when they're looking through the module materials, they might feel like I'm kind of looking over their shoulder and helping them step through the content material. The second way that I've tried to build presence is through videos. I've got a workflow in which I create a PowerPoint slide deck. I talk through the PowerPoints here on camera, but then I go through the slide deck a second time, no longer trying to record anything, but just annotating the slides this second time. So I can annotate exactly in order with the way that I'm speaking. I always leave room on the slides so that I can write down key ideas. I can underline an important point, or maybe I can use my laser pointer to highlight an image or draw their attention to something else on the slide. That helps animate the slide without the slide actually being animated, which feels kind of cheesy to me when I try to do it. The second part of that is that my video always stays on top of the slide. I'm not really looking for more airtime, but I know that students will absorb the slide at a surface level pretty fast, and so I want my face to continue being there on the slide so that once they think they've absorbed the slide's content, there's still a visual connection to make. Because if there's not a visual connection from me on the slide, I know they'll look somewhere else and find something else to think about. The third way that I tried to create presence was by being a little bit more gregarious than I might sometimes be. I've used a lot of hand motions. I've been willing to move around and vary my voice a lot as I'm recording videos. I've also done some stuff that felt pretty far outside my comfort zone. When Wake and Shake happened back in early April, one of my students mentioned to me she'd love for me to sign on, and we kept talking about it, and I agreed to do a quick promotional video for them. So my family danced for a while outside and we were all over social media. That is certainly not in my comfort zone, as some of my colleagues were kind enough to observe as they watched the video. But it helps students know, hey, I get it, this is not fun, and here I'm still in person, I'm still willing to be goofy. I've also incorporated family, particularly because I knew that my students were at home with their families and they might appreciate some of the tension of sharing space. So my son explained contracts using Minecraft. He did a great job. He was actually a great interview, and they really enjoyed that. By far the most popular portion of my module sessions was the occasional interruption by my daughter who told jokes. So I'll leave you with one of those now, But before Ellie comes on, let me tell you, if there's anything I can do, please feel free to email or call. It's really fun to have this ongoing conversation and to be trying something so new and different together. There is no group I would rather be trying to do this well with than you, my colleagues in the business school. I'm so glad to be part of the team with you. Thanks.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Dishes.
Dishes who?
This is not the end of your module.